My friend Liam took his own life. He didn't overdose on any single vice. He overdosed on pleasure, as odd as that may sound. It wasn't one moment. It was 1,000 little moments. Social media likes, drinks, a lifetime of artificial dopamine hits that slowly but surely rewired his brain to teach him that peace was boring. Man is not destroyed by suffering alone, but suffering without meaning. If there is a meaning in life at all, there must be a meaning in suffering. Viktor Frankl. Our brain's main job isn't happiness. It's survival through balance. 3 of our main chemical regulators are dopamine, reward and motivation; serotonin, stability and well-being; cortisol, stress and alertness. When these 3 work together, life feels manageable. Not dead, but not euphoric. Balanced. Here's what a healthy day in a balanced brain should look like. In the morning, cortisol rises before you wake. It's sort of a natural alarm clock for your body. In a healthy body, it feels like alertness to get moving, to get started, to get going. Light exposure triggers small dopamine and serotonin releases, stabilizing mood with motivation to continue on with your day. Then you start to move, eat, talk, and your body finds its natural rhythm. However, if unbalanced, like Liam and like so many of us, too little sleep, too much stress, and that morning cortisol spike just feels like stress, like panic in your heart. No movement, no sunlight, dopamine and serotonin stay low. You start the day anxious and flat before anything has happened. During your midday, small challenges accomplished, meals, and social interactions allow that dopamine to keep pushing out. Exercise gives a boost of cortisol, and then dopamine and serotonin follow after. This makes you feel productive and grounded, but energetic and happy. But if Liam's taking too many artificial dopamine hits, like sugar, caffeine, endless scrolling, this flattens that natural cycle. Your brain records, pleasure without effort, and your motivation is killed. In the evening, when the sunlight fades, the cortisol drops, and the serotonin takes over. Calm, balanced. Throw in some gentle but engrossing conversations with loved ones, a nightly routine, and your body is getting ready for sleep. At this point, your serotonin is slowly converting into melatonin for an even sounder rest. But if unbalanced with heavy nighttime stimulation, phones, porn, alcohol, bright lights, these will all keep your dopamine unmanageably high. Serotonin can't convert, and your cortisol stays up. Sleep quality crashes. Mood regulation fails. And your next day will once again start in free fall. Now, Liam was 31, tall, charming, intelligent, the kind of guy that everybody liked. He didn't look like he was struggling. He came from a good family, and everybody thought, Liam has it all figured out. But what was his life actually like? Well, he was waking up with his cortisol misfiring, panic attacks, and anxiety started his day. Then he used caffeine, nicotine for constant stimulation. And everything he did throughout his day was done with background podcasts, videos, music. He was never alone with his own thoughts. He never let himself be alone with himself. Eating with television, driving with music blasting. Does this remind you of anyone? It's all too easy to get sucked into these routines. Dopamine hits throughout the day, but none earned, with your serotonin starved for life. In the evening, you're feeling good enough to go to the gym. And after you finish, well, don't you deserve a reward? Alcohol and social media to wind down from your high. McDonald's because it's quick, cheap, delicious, and I'm tired, but that was a great workout. Tomorrow I'll go grocery shopping. Sleep delayed, cortisol spiking at the wrong time, dopamine exhausted. Over time, Liam's baseline fell lower and lower and lower. Baseline, as in without any of these artificial dopamine hits, the music, the porn, the alcohol, the podcasts, the caffeine, the nicotine. Without any of that, you really can't be alone. You need some sort of stimulant. You begin to mistake calm for boredom, peace for emptiness. So many of us are living in constant noise because silence is all too terrifying. At this point, Liam was no longer choosing pleasure at all. He was only escaping pain. Now, our brains always fight for balance through homeostasis. Every time dopamine spikes, the brain lowers it afterward to stabilize it, which means the higher the high, the lower the low. So instead of this, we're all living like this. This is a vicious pleasure-pain seesaw. Pleasure side, dopamine. Pain side, cortisol and stress chemicals. Overstimulate your pleasure, and your brain will compensate with pain. And of course, your baseline continues to drop. When you take drugs consistently, drink, gamble, watch porn, you are literally, and I do mean literally, reconfiguring your brain's operating system. And you probably guessed it, not in a healthy or good or auspicious way. Whether or not you have an addiction to any of those behaviors, that should terrify you. Yes, you can begin to heal over time, but no, you will never fully heal, and you'll never ever get back to being fully the same if you hadn't ever done it. It changes you. The path to hell looks like heaven. Pleasure feels good in the moment, but drains long-term stability. And the path to heaven looks like hell. Discipline and restraint are hard at first, but they build resilience, strength. Unfortunately, after so many years of abuse, Liam couldn't tell the difference anymore. His brain was now punishing him for chasing pleasure, but simultaneously rewarding him for it too. And you get trapped in this cycle that feels logical, chemically, but emotionally, it's too much for anyone to bear. Think of your lowest moment, your rock bottom, and then imagine living there for months and months and months. Maybe you don't even have to imagine it. Maybe you've gone through it. Maybe you're going through it now. Liam's rock bottom wasn't a single moment. It was years of numbness and spikes of adrenaline and exhaustion. When your brain tells you every day this is the new worst day of your life, how can you not start to believe it? And even on good days, your brain chemistry won't let you feel it normally, appropriately. Your dopamine receptors are dulled. Your serotonin, unfortunately, is depleted. And you have constant cortisol. This is more than sad. You have become a slave to your own brain. You become trapped in feedback loops that your body mistakes for survival. And that's what addiction is. Biology running its own game without your permission anymore. And this is what we should be teaching in schools. Because yes, the schooling systems are failing us for failure to update and adapt based off what we know, based off what children are taking. Schools should be teaching this practically, not just don't do drugs, but teaching how your brain works when it's on and after taking drugs, how dopamine shapes your ability to focus and your attention, how allowing serotonin to healthily build will construct long-term peace for your life, how cortisol can be an ally or an enemy, and how heart attacks aren't the only risk of drug abuse. Alcohol withdrawal kills millions. Cocaine withdrawal begins with an acute numbness phase and then goes into a psychological withdrawal phase before a prolonged extinction phase. And even after you're out of it, you're never really out of it. Your brain remembers. You've dug grooves. They did a study on rats where in the first week of their life, they got them addicted to cocaine. And then in the last week of their life, they gave them one more hit after nearly their entire life off of cocaine. And they were immediately addicted back to that first week when they first took the drug. That's your brain. We should be learning in school that online life, while amazing as an escape, isn't real life. It is a complement to life. Listen to me. Your self-worth is not your social media performance. Real life lets you be seen or gives you anonymity when you need it. But online mixes it all up and messes with our self-esteem. We have no control. We have no idea who or what is on the other end. How many people have broken down because of an algorithm that isn't even listening to them? Overstimulation rewires brains. Overstimulation rewires brains. You can lose yourself without realizing it. And the tragedy of Liam's story is that it's not rare. This is common. This is a real problem. It's a modern problem. Have you ever picked up your phone for one important reason and then went doom scrolling for an hour and completely forgot what you had initially needed it for? Do you feel uncomfortable when things go quiet? How many of your pleasures are earned versus being consumed instantly? What do you do when you feel anxious? Do you run from it through various means? Or do you look at it, study it, reflect on it, and try to overcome it? Seldom do we do the latter. And are you teaching your brain to reward you for balance or chaos? So what can we do? Well, let's start by spacing out our pleasures. Delay small gratifications and let your brain recover between rewards instead of skipping from one to the next, to the next, to the next. Get sunlight and move your body early in the day. Reset cortisol naturally instead of letting it spike as anxiety. Replace artificial dopamine with real work and real human connection. Cooking, conversation, exercise. This can slow dopamine and stabilize serotonin. And protect and covet your evenings. Avoid stimulation at night. Let your serotonin naturally convert into melatonin. And expect discomfort at first and always. That's natural. It builds character. Withdrawal, boredom, restlessness. These are signs that your brain is healing. It's not sexy, but moderation is king. There's nothing in life you can't turn into heroin. Get Him to the Greek, one of my favorite comedic films. Balance is the goal. Not abstinence necessarily, but certainly not indulgence and hedonism. Learn from people who've walked both sides. Chris Bumstead, 6-time Mr. Olympia, talks openly about redefining winning, purpose, and balance in his life. Even discipline taken too far becomes an unhealthy addiction. Liam's story teaches us what happens when our brains that are built for balance live in a world of overstimulation. There is tragedy on so many levels. And another tragedy is that so many of us are halfway along this path already. But there is time. We can always do better. All right, builders, see you every Sunday. And remember, growth equals accepting that peace looks like boredom before it becomes freedom. Brick by brick, we'll get there. Valeu!